Look at that. I was talking that whole time and y'all couldn't hear me. That's great. I didn't even have my mic on. So, what's going on, everyone? Jamal Pope here, aka J Fenixx, your phantom astrologer who pops in and out as he so pleases. Just wanted to do a cosmic check in for this February 2nd of 2025. Definitely a lot of interesting energies and stuff like that we have going on. So, wanted to just kind of hop on here, kind of talk a little bit about the astrology, draw a few cards, and then just shoot the shit with you guys. You know what I'm saying? So, trust that you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. As you can see, if you haven't seen from the last video, I did change my background a little bit here. I also have a new spotlight here, which is a lot brighter. It's better than the one that I was using. I was using this guy over here. I'll even that's what I was using. So it casts like the shadow and everything like that. And maybe I'll bring this back for like particular videos, but I like this one. Like I said, I feel like it's just a lot brighter. It's cleaner, if you will. So, and that's what we're rolling with. So, but cheers, y'all. And let's talk a little bit about what's been going on. Of course, we just had a new moon in Aquarius. Of course, at the current moment, the moon is in Aries. And we also have a couple other things that are coming this month, this week. We do have Jupiter that's going to be stationing direct. That new moon that we did just have in Aquarius was trining this Jupiter. The new moon was at 9 degrees. Jupiter was at 11 degrees, so it wasn't exact. And it didn't necessarily have, not that it wasn't positive, it just didn't have the punch that probably a lot of astrologers were talking about, because Jupiter is like, oh, it's about expansion, oh, it's about luck, oh, it's about fortune, it's about this and that. But Jupiter was retrograde in its detriment, right? So it did not have the power and the juice that it normally would have. And yeah, a trine over to the sun is cool, but the sun is at detriment in Aquarius. So it was not the punch that we wanted it to be. Not to say that there wasn't anything positive that could come out of something like that, but I think it's about, recognizing that even if energy isn't necessarily at its peak efficiency, I would say, doesn't mean that you can't find some nuggets of truth or some positivity out of it. Whenever a planet is in detriment or in fall, it's not so much that the planet can't work. It's just that it has to work a little bit harder. It has like a handicap. You can almost say it's like it's injured, if you will. It has to work a little bit harder. It has to be a little bit more careful. It can't work at peak efficiency. Think of it as whenever Jupiter is in Gemini, like it's strained like a muscle, right? So it can't work as hard. It can't run as fast. Can't do as much. It's injured, right? Doesn't mean it can't play, doesn't mean it can't show up, but just means that it's hobbling a little bit, And depending upon what aspects it's making can determine whether or not that planet may have to sit out for a game. I'm using sports analogies, but like say if Jupiter is in Gemini and it was conjunct, and this doesn't happen, but say it was conjunct like Mars or something like that. That could be indicative of like major inflammation, not being able to really, especially in like the extremities, because Gemini does rule the extremities. So, that could be indicative of like maybe inflammation in like the arms or the legs, or maybe even like the connection point too, right? Too. So it could be like maybe you tore something in like your shoulder and it's harder for you to throw the ball or something like that. Or maybe like you tore something in your leg and it's harder for you to move and stuff. Or maybe like I said, it's the extremities. So maybe you broke your finger or something like that, So just because, like I said, we have certain aspects that happen, you have to look at the layering aspect of things. So yeah, we did have a new moon in Aquarius, first new moon of the year, started the Lunar New Year. We are in the year of the snake. I want to say it's the wood snake as well. So that's kind of interesting. That's the year of the wood snake. It's honestly kind of giving me kind of like Garden of Eve vibes. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the year of the wood snake. Year of the snake 2025. I want to say it's the year of the wood snake. Yeah, it is the year of the wood snake. think that's very interesting. So, um, let's see. It's the year of the wood snake. The last when was the last time we had a year of the wood snake is what I'd like to know. So, um, because when you think of wood, it does kind of give an element of sturdiness, of groundedness in a sense. It's not earth, it's wood, so it's a little bit different. Um, Being able to maybe even spring forth, you know, adaptability, flexibility, those sort of things as well. So should definitely be an interesting year. Like I said, when was the last time that we had a wood snake? I'm gonna look it up real fast. Uh, let's see. Let me log in here. Uh, Maybe later I'll try it. Let's see. Am I logged in? I am logged in. So I'm gonna actually share my screen with you guys. I'm gonna share a different one though. If you give me 1 second. Of course, I'm getting a call right now, naturally. So give me 1 second, y'all. Duty calls with that one. Yeah. So let's see. I am back. I'm back. Um, but yeah, let's see when the last time we had a wood snake year. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can go to Google Chrome. Okay. When was the last time we had a wood snake year in Chinese astrology? I wonder if it'll. Let's see if it'll. All right, so the last year was 1965. Chinese zodiac is like a 60-year cycle, yeah. So they go between the different elements and stuff. So 1965 was the last time that we had the wood snake year. It'd be kind of interesting to actually kind of look at 1965 just to kind of see how it compares to what we're going through right now. Let me take it back to Astro Gold here for. But yeah, so 1965 was the last time that we had it. So if we just go back to that new moon, like I said, this new moon happened at 9 degrees, right? So maybe we can look at some comparison and contrast between the two. So yeah, bam. So that's that first new moon. Like I said, it wasn't trying to Jupiter. It wasn't trying to Aldebaran too, which does add a bit of an angelic aspect to it as well. But like I said, because Jupiter was retrograde here in Gemini and its detriment, didn't necessarily the punch that we needed it to. But I kind of saw this new moon as a silver lining, despite the fact that this did come on the heels of very interesting stuff. Because obviously Wednesday night we had that horrific crash over the Potomac in Washington D.C. And then literally 2 days later we had the other plane crash in Northeast Philadelphia. That I don't know if you guys have seen images of it, but it looked like, or the videos, but there's this one particular video from like a someone's like doorbell camera, and like it looks like a bomb. Like I know it wasn't a bomb, so like don't. I'm not saying it was a bomb. By the way, I gotta like specify that. It just looks like it though. The way that it came in super fast, like, and there was like a flight log that came out recently showing like the flight log of the plane, and it's a little weird. But like I said, I'm not an expert on aviation or flight logs or anything like that. It just looked weird to me. The areas that it went to and stuff like that before. I think it was that flight was supposed to be heading to Missouri, but I do think it's interesting that that crash literally happened right after this new moon. On Wednesday evening. So I can't remember exactly what time it happened. It was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night or something like that. So I mean, but I think it does go to show. I mean, yeah, that moon was at 17. Around the moon was probably around like 16, 17, 18 degrees of Aquarius. Um, I think it's just one of those things where yeah, I guess there are some silver linings, but I think there's also a lot of confusion still right now. I think a lot of that has to do with Saturn and Venus and North Node and Neptune all here in Pisces. It's causing a lot of confusion. It's causing, trying to figure out how in the world do we process this energy. It's very bewildering, and then like literally like 2 days later, we had the freaking thing that happened in Philadelphia. This happened when the moon was with Saturn and with Venus, and the moon was here. And so it's even more confusing that these things would happen. The sun was coming off of the exact trine to Jupiter during this time, So we do, of course, have Pluto that's in Aquarius here. We have Mercury here that's in Aquarius. We also have Icarus here. I think that's kind of one interesting thing about this new moon was that this new moon was with the minor asteroid Icarus, and that in many ways can represent getting too close to the sun, and feeling like we're maybe like aiming almost too high or maybe a little bit overzealous, and then we fall to the ground because we are, I guess, overestimating, and I think that's the thing about this new moon. I think this was a new moon about silver linings, but I think this was also a new moon that was about, there's no need for you to overexert yourself, because if you overexert yourself, you may find yourself crashing into the water. And I know that's like a terrible thing to say, and I didn't even mean it like that, like the pun wise, because it's just wild that this was happening on like that this new moon happened like right with this Icarus essentially. Um I don't know if a lot of people even noticed that and stuff. So it's like we wonders like how in the world can you predict these things? I don't know if so much that I mean you can predict things as astrologers and stuff like that. But it definitely is easy to kind of go back and see retroactively. It's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, this new moon was with the minor asteroid Icarus, and Icarus was famous for flying too close to the sun and then falling into the ocean. We literally had a mid-air collision, and it's like the worst air disaster since like what 2013 here in the states, because they just don't happen that often. And then literally 2 days later we have another fucking plane that crashes in North Philadelphia. There was actually something that happened in Alaska as well. Like it's things come in threes, and it does feel like things are going to be coming in threes this year. It's just weird. So you have massive firestorms out on the west. You have historic snowfall in the southeast. And a lot of people are trying to figure out like what in the world is going on, and I think a lot of that is due to all of this energy in Pisces, Saturn, Neptune, North Node, Venus, of course, coming off of the conjunction to the North Node today. Now the moon is in Aries, so that moon in Aries, of course, is going to make us a lot more emotionally reactive to things too. I think it's kind of nice that this moon is going to be spending most of its time in Aries on a Sunday because Sunday is generally a day where people rest. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice that, like emotionally, from an impulsive standpoint, that the moon is here on a Sunday. It's almost like a blessing in disguise. Because if this was like any other day of the week, I think people would just be kind of really going ham, and it's just there'd just be a lot of stuff that's going on with that. So just definitely some interesting energies that we are dealing with in general. But let's just kind of take a look casually throughout the week and just kind of see what we have going on. I'm not saying this is a cosmic convergence. This is more of like a tune-in, just like a check-in, essentially. But so we are going to see that moon cross over Chiron going into Monday. So, of course, this Mars is actually in square to this Chiron, so we're kind of feeling a lot of that energy. As you can see, there is nothing left in Capricorn except for Pallas Athena. So, as far as like major aspects, planets coming into Capricorn, we're pretty much done with it. We've got no more Saturn. Pluto's not going to come there again. We're kind of done with the Capricorn story. We're kind of moving on to the Aquarius story and the Pisces story. Those are the main two that we're moving on to. And that's why things feel so intense. These are the last two signs of the zodiac. There's a lot of energy here. That's why it feels like end times, if you will. It feels like the book of Revelations. It's because of all this energy building up in Aquarius and Pisces. And in many ways, they are converging in a sense. We have the North Node that's bringing all of this energy of Pisces with conjuncting Venus. It's going to conjunct the North Node. It's going to conjunct Saturn. It's going to bring that energy in, right? We got to remember that Venus is going to go into Aries and then retrograde back into Pisces. Neptune and Saturn will also come into Aries and retrograde back into Pisces. All while Pluto's bringing up the rear in Aquarius. We have Mercury here. We have the Sun. So that energy is literally squeezing, right? It's literally squeezing because you have that, like I said, you have that North Node bringing all of that, faded cosmic energy, and then you have Pluto bringing up the rear. So there's a lot of pressure right now in this part of the zodiac. So you kind of want to look at wherever Aquarius and Pisces is in your chart, there's a lot of pressure right there. But pressure makes diamonds. And I think that's really what, the universe is kind of showing us right now. Anyone that's really alive during this time, before we came here, it was probably one of those things where it was like, I want to be strong, I want to be courageous, I want to be whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm going to give you these trials and tribulations and these challenges so you can develop these skills, you can develop these, facets of your of who you are and your personality and what you learn and stuff. So it's like, dang, that sounds kind of hard. I'm like, well, I mean, it's the only way to get to, I guess, greatness, if you will, or to develop wisdom and compassion. The only way to really develop these sort of things, joy, is to go through, in many ways, the opposite of those things. Because then you won't really know what it is. It's like we don't really know what blue is unless we juxtapose it against all the other colors, right? That's how we know what blue is, or any color. So how can you know what joy is if you don't juxtapose it against the opposite, despair? Or vice versa. How would you know what despair is if you don't juxtapose it against the opposite of joy, right? So those are the things that we have to take into consideration. So even though there's a lot of pressure right now, there's somewhere in your life where there's not as much pressure, right? Maybe it's the Leo Virgo aspect. Maybe it's, a lot of the Libra and the Scorpio, since now we're not going to have a lot of major transits happening in those areas as well. We're not going to see a lot of major things happen in some of these other parts. So those are the areas where that can help us to kind of decompress a little bit so we can kind of come back to these other areas of our life and see, okay, how can we move forward? How can we process these energies? How can we, get through these moments, right? Now, of course, we are going to see Jupiter station direct here on Tuesday. This is going to be while the moon comes into its exaltation in Taurus, which is nice. This is also going to be the day that Venus enters into Aries, so that's definitely going to be a major click, and we're going to feel it. Now, granted, yeah, Jupiter is still slow, right? It's still in its detriment, but at least there's going to be a click, and especially with Venus going into Aries. Now, mind you, it's moving slow as well. Venus is not moving very fast at all. It's still moving less than a degree a day, right? And not only that, but Venus is going to be going to its detriment as well. So you have a detriment Jupiter, you have a detriment Venus, you have a detriment Sun, you have a fallen Mars, right? So not a lot of easy energy. The best energy, of course, we have that moon that's going to be in Taurus, which can help us to emotionally ground a lot of this energy because it's exalted there. And of course, we do have Neptune in Pisces, but that's more of like this overarching, more societal, more etheric, more unseen kind of energy that's influencing everybody. It's the miasma, if you will, that the cosmic miasma that we're all kind of wandering through and trying to navigate and stuff. So that's the weird thing about it. It's not so the main energy that we're going to probably be holding on to for this click on is that moon moving into Taurus, because Venus in Aries is going to add a lot of spice to it, right? It's going to add a lot of spice. It's going to add a lot of Venus wants to be desired, and in Aries, it's going to be very bold. It's going to be very brash, right? And with that Jupiter clicking on, some people are going to really be feeling that power, especially people that are ruled by Jupiter, right? Sagittariuses, Sag risings. If you have any major energy in Sag, or even if you have any major energy in Gemini, it's going to that click on, especially with that Venus here shifting into Aries. And while it's not exactly sextiling Jupiter, it is sextiling the energy of Gemini. It's going to kind of click on some energy here on this Tuesday, Mars Day, ironically. So, but like I said, it's still going to be a little bit interesting because we do have that North Node and that Neptune coming to each other exactly. So, like I said, it may not necessarily have the umph that we need it to be, but it's definitely going to kick up the spice level a little bit. This is actually us adding a little bit of chili powder to our curry to kind of spice it up a little bit. And I think this is something that we need. I think it's going to be something that helps to kind of snap us out of the sort of fog that I think this last week and a half or so has been, especially this last week with all the different things that are happening in the world, sociopolitically, just events in general. I think that this click is actually a good thing, and I think it's a blessing that we do have this moon in Taurus. Even though it will make that third quarter square to the sun, I think it's a blessing that the moon is here because at least it can help us to ground this and maybe come up with even a game plan, maybe even strategize on how to actually take this nice little injection of energy and to kind of move things forward a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of the nice thing about this, right? Now, of course, Wednesday, we're going to see that moon cross over Uranus. This will be actually nice, too, because this will be the first full day that Venus will be in Aries, the first full day that Jupiter will be direct in Gemini, and that moon conjuncting Uranus is like a nice little light bulb moment. So you may not necessarily get the impulse on Tuesday, but it may come on Wednesday where you're like, aha, that makes sense. It may be sort of like the aha moment where it's like we can take what we've learned from that new moon and what we learned with that moon going through Pisces, Aries, and now finishing up in Taurus on this day, and we can start to actually see a bit of a path start to open up that we've kind of just been wandering around in the dark. But I think this Wednesday is going to be the kind of like that first day in probably a couple of weeks where people are finally going to start to kind of start to get it, and a path will start to open up. The whole path isn't going to open up. I don't think you're going to get the full vision, but it is a great opportunity for that aha moment where we can be like, okay, yeah, things may not necessarily be ideal, but I can still see how to kind of start to navigate this energy a little bit. Like I said, though, Venus is still going to be retrograding here soon. Mars is going to be coming, stationing direct this month as well. But Jupiter is finally moving forward. So that is kind of a nice thing. And it's going to start to move towards Cancer, a sign that it fares a lot better in. So we do have those things to look forward to Thursday, we're going to see that moon that's going to be shifting more into Gemini. It would have been coming off of the third quarter square to the sun, of course, getting ready to conjunct Jupiter too, which is nice. Um, we do have that Mars, which is going to be in trine to Saturn pretty much the entire week, which is a positive thing. But the fact of the matter is that Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer, Saturn doesn't like to be in Cancer. So I think this can be one of those things where it's like, I think if you think of like Saturn as the boss and Mars as like the employee in this sense, Mars is like kind of complaining to Saturn's like, yo, like I'm not really like I really don't feel like doing this, and I really am not in like the best energy, and I just want to go home. Can I work from home? And I think Saturn's gonna be like, no, you gotta come into the office today. And Mars like, well, you're working from home, and Saturn's like, yeah, but I've been in the office I don't know how many times. So I think Saturn can at least sort of empathize with Mars a little bit here, being that it's in Pisces. It does give it a little bit. It does give Saturn a little bit more of an ability to empathize and stuff, because like I said, Saturn and Mars would much rather be in Capricorn, right? But I think this is about, you know, yeah, things may not necessarily we may not necessarily feel always up to par. We may, like I said before, that Mars in Cancer, people are gonna be throwing more temper tantrums, and it's like, Saturn is still looking for like, hey, like, where are the boundaries here? Where are the restrictions? Where are the, you know, where is the logic here? Where's the game plan here? Like, it's one thing to kind of, make your temper tantrums and complain and to do those sort of things, or to make your voice heard and stuff. But I think it's another thing too, where it's like, you know, where are the laws? Where are the rules? This whole Mars in Cancer thing, it's not really surprising, even though like foreign stuff and immigration can be very much on ninth house. This Cancer is also the home, and Mars is about, and it's retrograding here. So all this stuff with immigration is even kind of like a big thing now. Now that Jupiter is going to be moving forward too, in Gemini, it's like the local neighborhood and stuff like that. Like I said, we don't have anything in Sagittarius, right? This is all of the stuff here is happening on the home front. That's why there's a lot of this weird energy here when it comes to like immigration, at least here in the United States, right? A lot of this has to do with Jupiter and Gemini. It has to do with Mars retrograding in Cancer, and it's trining this Saturn, right? So, so this moon in Gemini is going to definitely open up more of the communication. People are going to be wanting to communicate more, especially as that moon hits over to this Jupiter here. Of course, it's going to be a little bit later on in the day. I do think it's also interesting that the sun in Aquarius will be actually in quincunx to Mars on this day as well, providing a bit of that awkward perspective. But remember, the sun in Aquarius, I think the sun in Aquarius wants to be empathetic to this Mars. I think that Mars in Cancer is very much so representing our inner child and the needs of our inner child, and especially now that, Venus is in the sign that it rules, it's adding an extra element of needing someone to pay attention to and needing someone to kind of hear Mars out. The sun in Aquarius, though, it's like it's going to provide that to Mars, but it's not going to provide it in the way that Mars probably wants it. It probably is more so in the way that it needs, right? Aquarius can't necessarily be fully focused on one individual. It has to be able to divvy up and give water to everybody that needs it. So Mars is going to be wanting all the water and wanting all the attention from this sun, but it's not going to be able to get it because the sun has to cater to all these other areas. So there can be some frustration when it comes to maybe you wanting attention from certain people, or maybe you are wanting things from certain people, and maybe you're not going to get the full attention from them. But I think we have to be open to what does come through, the help that does come through, the attention that does come through, the energy that does come through. It's not so much that you're not getting the water from the water bearer. It's just that you're not the only one in line. And I think that's the way that we kind of have to even look at this with God, is that like we all are kind of going through it. We all have needs. We all have wants. We all have prayers, and I think it's like some people are going to feel like their prayers are exalted above other people. I think a lot of that's going to also be kind of playing into the fact that, like I said, we do have Venus now here in Aries, and it just conjuncted the North Node too, right? Whenever the Venus hits the North Node, especially what's in Pisces, that is kind of like us making a wish, because Venus is about what we receive. So it's like Venus conjuncted the North Node. In many ways, we made a wish out to the universe, and now it's about whether or not we're going to receive it. Now, this Venus in Aries may get a little flustered because it may not get it at the speed that it wants or exactly the way that it wants. It's like Venus may have asked, it's like, it's like asking Santa for, maybe you asked Santa for a video game, but you didn't specify what video game, right? For Christmas. And your parents bought you a video game that you didn't necessarily want. But maybe that's fun. Maybe initially you're disappointed, but maybe you find out that that game is really fun. Perfect example. Like, I think this was was it on the PS1 or the PS2? I remember for Christmas, because I know me and my brother had asked for some video games, and they usually gave us video games growing up. But there was this one boxing game that they gave us. It was like a very it. Let's see if I can even find it. Like say PS1. I'm pretty sure it was on the PS1, and it was just, oh my god, I found it. Is that it? Dude, this game right here, y'all have no idea. This game right here. Okay, yeah, it was PlayStation. I'm gonna show y'all because this is freaking amazing. Hold on. Properties. Hold on. Google Chrome. Yeah, this game right here, this boxing game. My parents bought this game for me and my brother one year for Christmas. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, great. I wasn't really I wasn't really thankful for this game. This game right here was so freaking lit and so fun. Like, first of all, these characters weren't even in the game. It was just random characters. Like, you had a traditional boxer. You had someone from the Middle East or India that did this really cool uppercut thing. You had each character was very unique and very different and stuff like that. But this game was so freaking fun. I wish I could find yeah, and it was literally just called boxing. That's it. But it's maybe this is the game that you got, right, for Christmas. You asked for a video game, but maybe you wanted a specific one, but you didn't necessarily specify what you wanted. And honestly, I think we are all there. The reason why I think we're all there is because of this major buildup in Pisces. So we're confused. We don't necessarily know what we want. Not necessarily. So I think this universe and God it knows us so well that it's going to give us what we need. So I think what we asked for, the wish that we gave when Venus conjuncted this North Node in Pisces, maybe we didn't get necessarily what we thought we wanted, but maybe it ends up being so fun. Me and my brother logged hours into this game. It was so fun. There were cool characters. There was one dude that had spiky red hair that had this really insane uppercut. There was there was this one, I think his name was Gio. It was this lizard beast man that had this really cool overhang hit that it would do. It would just reach back and just slam its arms down, and it was almost a one hit KO every single time that it did it. There was some other characters. There was this one chick that she wore white and pink, and she had this really quick 3-hit punch for her final hit, or her best combo, whatever like that. There were some really cool characters in this game, and it took me by surprise. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay. But it ended up being really cool, and I think that's the way that we kind of have to look at this. It's whatever the universe delivers, we're going to look at it, and maybe at first we're going to be I don't know if I want that. I don't know if that's what I wanted. But then I think we're just going to be you know what? This is actually pretty cool. I think we'll look back on it and be you know what? That was actually kind of fun. That was actually a really awesome thing that the universe delivered. And I think that's really what this comes down to. It's being able to acknowledge those things and, what's being delivered and stuff. So, just something to, keep in mind and stuff like that too. So like I said, this Mars is probably going to want more, feel like it needs more. Maybe the thing that it gets delivered isn't exactly the thing that we wished for, but like I said, was any of us really specific about this? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we were to just even to go back to the day that that wish happened, when they conjuncted, so that's like what, 28 degrees. Well, look at that. The moon was with it as well. So look at that. They were all conjunct here at 28 degrees, and Neptune was here as well. So not really surprised, right? So now, when does this kind of manifest? I think we start to kind of see it manifest a little bit here in Taurus, and especially with the conjuncting Uranus. And then, of course, when we get to Thursday, that moon is going to be with Jupiter. Now, when will Mars get with? When will the moon get with Mars? Well, that's going to be next Sunday. So a week from today. Of course, I'm going to be watching the Super Bowl this day, right? But the moon will be with Mars this day, and maybe this is when we can start to kind of see. It's like, oh, maybe that's why the universe delivered those events, that gift in that way. Maybe it was packaged a little bit weird. Maybe it looked a little bit different. Maybe it wasn't exactly what we thought we wanted. But I don't think really anybody got super specific on. I mean, I think it's about, you know, definitely having some ideas, having some concepts, right? I have a concept of a plan. But I think it's like, seriously, I think we all have ideas. I think we all have concepts. I think it's about, we're kind of in a sorting game right now. Sorting what works, what doesn't. Oh, did this thing just like, oh, did it die? It died on me. Oh, well, I gotta switch over to this guy. Look at that. So, see, and you gotta be able to have backup plans. Even if the backup plan isn't exactly the way that you want it to be, I still have a backup plan and it's all good, right? So that's what it comes down to. So we're kind of sorting things out. What feels good, what works. Okay, all right, I know that those things work. I don't necessarily know how they're going to bloom, but I know that those things work, so I can invest more energy into those. These things kind of work. Now maybe they're a little bit on the fence. It can go this way, it can go this way. These things don't really work. I've tried multiple times with these things. They don't really seem like they work, so those I'm going to cast to that side. That's kind of where we are right now. We're in a bit of a sorting game, trying to sort out the different vibrations of our life, of the things that do work, the things that kind of work, and the things that don't work. Those things that kind of work, I think we'll get more clarity on those things as the year progresses. I don't think that this is just fully black and white. I really don't. And I think a lot of that has to do with this build up in Pisces and this build up in Aquarius, right? So I think we have a very interesting week ahead. I do think that Jupiter clicking on is going to provide some positivity, even though it is in its detriment, even though it's not going to have the full power and oomph that we want it to. It's still going to give us a nice little jolt. Venus coming to Aries will also give us that energy. That moon in Taurus will help us to ground these things. And as that moon conjuncts Uranus, we get the aha moment. As it conjuncts Jupiter, we can see the possibilities start to open up. And when it conjuncts Mars, we can maybe even start to comfort in many ways our inner child that may be wanting or needing more and maybe doesn't get exactly what it wanted, but we can comfort ourselves to know that this is actually what we needed and things are going to work out. So I think it can be a very positive week, and yeah, that's what I got for you guys for just a little check-in here. We'll go ahead and draw some cards for the week as well, and then I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. But I definitely appreciate you guys for joining if you happen to join. Like I said, I just wanted to pop on here, do a little bit of a cosmic check-in, and see how things were going with you guys, offer some words of encouragement. I know things are weird right now, and I just think it's like you have to have a little bit of grace in yourself. Have to have a little bit of grace in yourself. There's a lot that's going on. It's a lot to process, and I think part of this evolution is learning how to process all the information that's coming in. Our brains are pretty incredible. It processes so much information at once. But I think it's with these different events, with the internet, how fast we learn about different news things. I think that kind of information, our brain is having to evolve to know how to manage that load, if you will. So I think a lot of the uncomfortable energy is the fact that we are kind of going through a bit of an upgrade in the way that we store information, right? So and I think that's the main thing that's going on. So if we're going through an upgrade on how we store information, then there's going to be some pulling, there's going to be some pushing, there's going to be some morphing, there's going to be some uncomfortable growing pains that we're all going through, right? So it's, but we're molting, if you will. So just know that energetically, that's kind of what we're going through right now. So let's have some grace in yourself, be easy in yourself, and also remember to just hold gratitude every single day. Be grateful for the people in your life. Be grateful for the things that you have, no matter how big or small. Find those moments every single day to remember gratitude, because that always brings you back to center. And always brings you back to God, too. So. All right, let's see what we got going on. Yeah, I have the Four of Swords. Yeah, so I do think that this is a week where we are going to be kind of just, we're processing a lot of the energy. You know, this dragon, it's in a den, right? It's in a den, and it's laying on top of this sword right here, right? So, and that sword could be, you know, the sword of a warrior that tried to slay the dragon and it didn't. Or it could be a sword that it's guarding because it's like, hey, you know, those who are worthy will be able to get this sword from me and will be, you know, gifted unimaginable power, you know. But there is a level of patience I think that comes with this week. We have to learn how to be patient with ourselves. We have to learn how to not overexert ourselves because, like I said, the pop of the energy that's coming this week, it's a little bit of a pop, but you don't want to take that energy and feel like you can just change your entire life and change the whole world with it. You know, I don't think this is a week about trying to change everything or trying to change your whole life or trying to change the world. I don't think this is a week for that. I think this is about knowing what you can do, knowing what you are capable of, and not feeling the need to have to change everything right now. Because there's no need to try and change everything right now. Interesting enough, I had the Three of Swords here too. There's going to be some level of heartbreak this week. I think there's going to be some level. I think the heartbreak comes from. These cards are beautiful, by the way. I think it's going to come from. We may even see something like, you know, with like celebrities or different things like that, where we may get news that, you know, maybe this person isn't who I thought they were. I think this also can be maybe the heartbreak that our inner child feels that, oh no, I didn't get the game I wanted. I didn't get the thing I wanted for Christmas. I didn't get the genie didn't fulfill the wish the way that I wanted. It's like, well, we weren't necessarily super specific. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that we weren't super specific because maybe we weren't in the space. Maybe we didn't know exactly what we wanted. And if we thought we knew exactly what we wanted and we wished for that thing, maybe that thing would end up actually causing our downfall. This could actually be a blessing in disguise, this Three of Swords, where it's like, because I don't think that this is a major inconvenience. I think this is like a minor inconvenience, a minor little disappointment. I don't think it's anything that's going to be super, super major. I mean, we'll see what follows it up. Yeah, it's the Four of Cups. Yeah, I think that I think the inconvenience is the fact that it's like maybe we're a little bit lazy or we're being a little bit lethargic, and I think, you know, there's some opportunities that are coming that the universe is offering us, and it's like maybe it's like, oh, that's not the opportunity that I really wanted, but it could be the opportunity that leads to the opportunity that really changes your life. I don't think this is the one that's going to just change your life forever, but everything has a domino and trickling effect. Like throwing a pebble into a lake can cause a massive wave in the ocean down the road. You know, I think we want to see those big waves and those big changes now and immediately, especially with Jupiter turning online, especially with Venus going to Aries. I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. Can't have it now. Not at least not in that way. You know, so I think the universe is offering us oranges, and we're being tasked to learn how to make orange juice. And we got the oranges. It's good. At least we have that. You know, at least we have the oranges. So the inconveniences, the little heartbreaks that kind of happened throughout this week, so I don't think it's going to be anything major. If this was like a major arcana card, I would think it's major. It's the Four of Cups, so it's not major. It's a minor inconvenience. It might make us not feel necessarily the best or not really wanting to move or act whatever like that. even though there's going to be some people that probably overexert this week. Yeah, I think you're going to see some people like really try and overdo it and hyper react to the Jupiter coming direct and to Venus coming into Aries with the moon coming on top of these, and especially with Uranus. I think you're going to see some people that like overexert their energy, and it probably is not going to end up the way that they want it to. They're gonna this try hard energy. I'm not even gonna lie. This is the week of like you're just being a try hard, right? If you don't know what that term means, it just means that you're trying too hard, right? You're just, and it's almost obnoxious, right? This is the week of the obnoxious try hard. So it's like you want to just kind of chill with it. Like I said, we're in a sorting period. Find the things that work, things that are built. Maybe you don't have to make decisions on those just yet, and the things that don't work, we're kind of sorting things out, you know. So, final card for this week I have for you guys is the Three of Pentacles. I kind of like this because this just means that the slow and steady approach is the best way. And, you know, it's interesting too because you have these dragons that are, there's the bones of their enemies just sitting there, and they're building. It's like, all right, well, let's frame these coins that we have with the bones of our enemies that try and came and slay us, but they were unsuccessful, right? But I do like this card because this talks about, you know, and especially this is probably gonna happen when that moon comes into Gemini too. Is like, you know, there is power in camaraderie. There's power in, you know, associating and talking to people that are on your same vibration, that kind of get it. I don't think this is a week about really staying on to yourself. I think this is a week where you do kind of want to branch out and you want to start to find those people and find those teammates in your life that are going to be there to help build you up, that you can help build them up, that you can kind of bounce stories off of each other, that you don't want to just, you don't want to be super impulsive this week. You want to talk it out with some people. But this is also, but like I said, this is about that slow building. This is not about like, you can't build the entire house in one day. This is about taking it brick by brick, you know, plank by plank, and just know that, you know, in order to build a better world, it's going to take all of us, and it's not just going to be one person. So let's actually, and this is also, I think there's going to be this element, the Three of Swords here along with it is kind of telling me of a change of heart, or people are going to be having a change of heart of things. So this is also about reaching across lines that you originally thought you would never reach across. People from seemingly diametrically opposing views coming together and finding a sense of this middle ground, bridging that gap so we can all work together and build a better world. But it starts by us being able to go outside our comfort zone and be able to reach out when we don't really feel like we need to reach out. Because more than likely, you have more in common with that person that you think that you don't have in common with. More than likely, you have a lot more in common with them than you realize. I think this is a positive thing. I think this could be, and, you know, I think some people maybe still wanting to gatekeep a little bit with this. There's a gatekeeping energy here where it's like, oh no, for the longest time you were on that side. Now you want to join us? No, you're not allowed in here. Unless you really do feel like they're just trying to infiltrate and destroy you from the inside, which there's an element of that, right? So maybe there's like some Trojan horse energy. Maybe some people are like a little bit suspicious, you know. But I think this is about, you know, shoot, let bygones be bygones. And also just like people are allowed to have a change of heart, and people are allowed to change their ideas and opinions on things. You know, someone that previously was disparaging you can have a change of heart this week and actually be able to say, like, you know, you were right on this thing and that thing. Awesome. Good. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's the weirdest thing about this is that, like, we want unity. We want camaraderie. We want people to come together on the same page or something, even if before they didn't see it the same way. We want people to come together. This incessant need to continue the charade of the divide and continue the charade of these diametrically opposed energies, left versus right, conservative versus liberal, red versus blue, blah, blah, male versus female, that, like, we want the energy to come together. So why are we perpetuating the separation? Why are we perpetuating it? It's because of our fucking human ego and the need to feel right. I swear the need to feel like we're right on something is causing a lot of strife right now. It's not about the need to be right. It's about the truth. And the truth is universal. And the truth is something that we all can unite on. We all may see it a little bit differently. It's like if you have like a circular room and you have like a bunch of doors around it and everyone's peering through the keyhole, it's like everyone is complaining about what's in the room. No, this is what it looks like. No, this is what it looks like. You're all looking at the same shit from just different angles. So instead of focusing on the fucking keyhole and all the separation, maybe we all just walk into the room and be like, oh, that's what it is. Instead of keeping up with the charade of all of this unnecessary separation and strife. For what? For some sort of egoic satisfaction? That's why the world's crazy. Anyways, that's going to do it. I trust that this message will assist you on your journey today and this week. I trust that you guys will have a wonderful week. I will check in with you guys at a later date. I don't know exactly when, whether it's doing this or maybe I'll do some other kind of video. I don't know. But I wanted to make sure I checked in with you guys. But y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful week. And I'll see you all on the next video. Peace.